Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Zesty Thoughts with your host, Anabla. This is episode 61. It's my Halloween episode. For those of you that cannot already tell, if you do not get the lore behind this costume, I'm going to go on a full rant about it in the first segment of today's pod. I am going to take a quick little sip of my virgin espresso martini and set it down. I don't trust myself. There's a lot of electrical equipment going on. All right, we're going to dive right into it. For those of you that don't know my costume, I'm like in between millennial Gen Z, basically. I grew up watching a lot of Food Network. For those of y'all that used to like grow up on cable and y'all know about Food Network, I grew up watching that a lot, in addition to like Cartoon Network, Disney, National Geographic, like Nickelodeon. Food Network was always on rotation in my house when I was a kid. And, there's like the trifecta, like Hell's Kitchen, there's Rachel Ray, there's Barefoot Contessa, you feel me? Those were some of my favorite shows. And so I took inspiration today. I had this little fuck ass bob already. I had some cute like button ups. I was going to go with the little like Ina Garten like scarf moment, but we're having a heat wave right now in LA. Like literally the week of Halloween. It was like 88 in Santa Monica yesterday. Yeah. So I'm going to leave the scarf for this evening. You feel me? So I'm Ina Garten from Barefoot Contessa. It's like a really, really famous cooking show. She also has a ton of like Barefoot Contessa cookbooks. There are a lot of memes. I'll put some here and put some like pictures here so you kind of like get the lore. But I'm going to read some background on her because literally until I started doing research for today's episode, I did not know half of this shit about this woman. So I'm going to read a little background so y'all get a little deeper understanding. Okay. And so maybe you can catch the vibes. So essentially, here's the Google overview for the Barefoot Contessa television show. This is her cooking show. There were 28 seasons, okay? And the one that I think I watched the most was like Barefoot Contessa at Home, where it's like most of the cooking shows at the time were like framed in the chef's home. You're like in their home kitchen. So that was like the vibe that was going on. Here's the Google overview. Hosted by cookbook author Ina Garten, Barefoot Contessa is all about simple, fun, entertaining. The former White House nuclear policy analyst, okay? For President Richard Nixon. What? When I read that, I was like, come again? She was a what? A nuclear policy analyst? Okay, the lore, I had no clue. I was literally shook. I was like, oh my God, I knew nothing about this woman other than the fact that she had a cooking show and cookbooks. So yeah, apparently she was a, government employee, you feel me? Insane, right? It goes on to say she shares recipes for picnics, parties, and dinners, as well as other touches to make a meal or an event successful. Now, I saw like a famous clip of her. I was doing like market research, y'all, for the pod. I don't fuck around, okay? And there was a clip of someone asking her like, what are the 2 worst things to like bring to a party, like in your opinion? Because her show wasn't just about like the actual cooking, it was like entertaining as a whole and like how to host a good party, like the best like combination of foods and like things in order to like entertain properly or optimally, I guess. I do remember that like specifically about her shows. There was always like a cocktail involved or like decor involved, that kind of thing, hence the martini glass. But yeah, basically, then I went down to like history, the AI overview. The history of Barefoot Contessa began with a specialty food store in the Hamptons, which I also did not know. It was purchased by Ina Garten in 1978. She named the store after a movie, but initially disliked the name before deciding it was both elegant and earthy. After 18 years, Garten sold the store in 1996 to start a new career as a cookbook author and later a Food Network star, beginning with her first cookbook in 1999 and her show, which began in 2002. That was like right in the Food Network's peak with all of these cooking shows, just like one after another. And yeah, anyway, basically she's an icon. I did not know that she was a nuclear policy analyst, but like now I kind of want to like go back and low-key like rewatch her entire show. I don't know about the 28 seasons, but maybe I'll just like skim through the episodes that seem fun and try to like recreate some of her stuff. But anyway, I just think the memes of her are so funny. And I wasn't about to come on the pod and not dress up. So I already had this wig and the little button down moment. So here we are. I went to a Halloween party this Saturday and my main costume for Halloween this year was Clarice from Silence of the Lambs. I did make a badge on Canva, as you can see. And I had a little tiny lamb, like a stuffed lamb that I got on Amazon, and I put like tape over its mouth. You feel me? I could have worn that for today's pod, but I did give over the lamb to my friend's niece. She was clocking that lamb the second she saw it. I think she's like 4 or 5. And yeah, I wasn't like gonna not give it to her. It just felt so right. We were like dancing and vibing with it. And I was like, this is hers. She deserves this lamb. So I'm missing part of that costume. So I feel like they wouldn't really come across the same way without the little lamb. So we went with a little barefoot Contessa moment. Okay. On to some movie reviews for y'all. I have 7 more horror movie reviews for y'all. I apparently saved the best for last because the movie that I watched last night was freaking insane and I cannot wait to gab about it. I'm going to start off with the movie I watched on the 22nd. So we're going to go in order. All right. On the 22nd, I watched the movie Sleepaway Camp. This movie I thought was really good. I gave it a 6 out of 10 because there were aspects of it that were very predictable and y'all know how I feel about that. Although there were like some moments that were like a little spooky and I liked the vibes overall. I did think that like all of the child actors were like amazing. The acting was really good. I don't know what it is about like child actors then versus child actors now. Then it was like all pretty strong and like, you know, valid in my opinion. And I feel like now it's like very much hit or miss. Very much hit or miss. Like, for example, my parents and I just started watching Welcome to Derry. I feel like the kids' acting is amazing in it so far. But, you know, there's just some stuff out there that's a little like, okay, clearly this was low budget, or clearly these are just kids that like don't have that much experience in acting. Sometimes the vibe is just off and it's just like very hard to take it seriously or to believe it anyway. But in my opinion, Sleepaway Camp acting was great. But like I said, it was kind of predictable and I don't know. I guess I gave it like a 6 out of 10. Maybe I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good, but I wouldn't be like rushing to go watch it. Okay, the next movie I watched was Host. This movie was pretty good. I guess I rate this like slightly higher than Sleepaway Camp. I gave it like a 6.5. Maybe it deserves a 7. There were definitely some crazy, crazy shots. I don't know. I thought it was okay. It's like that film that's like over Zoom essentially. There were some moments in it that were like really like cool shots, I guess. But like I said, it's kind of one of those movies that like, I'm like, it's okay, but I wouldn't really necessarily watch it again or rush to recommend it to other people. Anyway. Next movie I watched was Strangers. Now, this is where we're getting somewhere. So to preface, I've watched this technically before, but I feel like I only saw bits and pieces of it, or I only remembered bits and pieces of it. So like the lore of it to me didn't really sink in. And then I watched it again Sunday morning with my friend, but we were breaking down from the Halloween party and like eating breakfast and like talking, and there were just other things going on that I really wasn't fully paying attention to it. So I decided to rewatch it in its entirety and like actually give it the attention it deserves. This movie was really good. I love like this level of suspense. I did feel like it got to a certain point toward the end where I was just kind of like, okay, like let's get on with it. Like something needs to happen. It was just like, when there's so much suspense built up over like 30, 45 minutes, it's kind of like, okay, like can something just happen? I gave this an 8.5, but now that I think about it, I don't know that it deserves that. Maybe like an 8 or a 7.5, because to me, the ending was like just really annoying. I don't know. I don't think it was like the most satisfying ending. I don't want to say anything or give it away, but I guess as a general blanket statement, if y'all have seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I hate when movies with this premise end this way. I wish it was the opposite ending. It would have been more satisfying. Sorry if that sounds very like cryptic and weird, but I don't want to give anything away. I'm trying not to spoil these films for y'all. So I would recommend going and watching this, but I don't know. Just keep an eye out for that ending. Let me know what y'all think. Okay. Next movie I watched was The Sentinel. This is the original. I think there was a remake. I feel like I remember seeing 2 movies with this title and one was like more recent, but I wanted to watch the original. This I really, really liked. The premise of this was really good. I gave this an 8 out of 10. I did really enjoy it. Maybe I'd even rate it higher, like 8.5. There were scenes in this that I thought were really, really well done for the time. Since this was made in like 77, I did think they did a really great job of like, I don't know, just creating like a sense of like confusion, I guess. There were some aspects that were a little bit predictable, but all in all, I really liked the storyline of it, and I thought it was pretty like charming for an older horror film. I can appreciate it. I also feel like I look at these movies, for example, like The Exorcist, like old horror movies where I'm like, it's not necessarily hitting the same for me right now, but if I look at it in the context of when it came out, I could see how it would fuck with people at the time when it came out. And so like I automatically will give those movies a little bit of a pass. They might not necessarily stand the test of time as far as like comparing to modern horror films, because like I've said in the past, we're super desensitized to stuff like that now. But I do think I like appreciate it for what it was and for like the context of the time that it came out. I do think that I understand like maybe why it would have hit for people at the time. Or maybe like certain groups of people. I'm trying not to like give too much away. This one has like kind of like a religious context to it too. I guess from that point of view, like people that were very religious or devout in like the 70s, yeah, this probably would have really like messed you up. But I really liked the ending. There was like a pretty good twist toward like the end of the movie. I do think it just added to like my general interest in the film, and I thought it was really cool. It did not end the way that I expected, so I liked it. It was really good. So I guess like, yeah, 8.5. Okay. Okay. The next film that I watched was Martyrs. This is like a modern horror. I gave it a 7.5. This is like another one of those movies that conceptually I think had a lot of potential. Watching the trailer for this, I was super tied in, and I do feel like the trailer was maybe a little deceptive. That really bugs me when trailers like, okay, well, back up. It bugs me a lot when trailers give too much information to the extent that I'm like, oh, well, I'm about to watch this movie and now I feel like I know details about it that like I don't want to know already, right? But then on the other hand, there are trailers that are like so vague that it's almost like you think it's going to be one thing and then you watch it and you're like disappointed that it's not that thing you thought it was going to be. I feel like that's what happened to me with this film. It was good. All in all, I guess I would like maybe recommend it. It's a short watch. So honestly, if you have like a night where you're like trying to binge multiple movies, I would say you could watch it in with something else that's like maybe a little better. I'm not shitting on it completely, but I thought it was good. There were some moments that were kind of like, oof, like kind of rough and suspenseful and a little hard to watch, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm like itching to watch it again. And it's kind of one of those ones where it's like not bad, but I don't know that I'd necessarily be like, oh my God, you have to watch this, if that makes sense. So for that reason, I gave it a 7.5, but maybe I'll give it a 7. Okay. I know y'all are going to freak out about this, but up until last week, I had never watched The Craft. Okay. Ever. I think I'd seen like clips of it on TikTok, and then that one sound went viral. He's sorry. That like screaming one, that sound went viral on TikTok. So then I saw that scene in the movie and I was like, got it. Understand now. I understand the context of this. But yeah, I can't believe I never watched this. And there are kind of a lot of like, I feel like low-key iconic 90s movies that I never watched. So, you know, that was one of those that's on that list of just movies in general that I've been wanting to watch. But yeah, this I really, really, really enjoyed. I see why it's a cult classic. I definitely would watch this again. This is kind of one of those Halloween-esque movies that like would probably help me get into the spirit of Halloween. If I wasn't necessarily trying to watch an entire month of movies I'd never seen, like if I was just trying to vibe and watch horror-esque films, or Halloween themed films, this is definitely going to be one of those movies that's like in my rotation. Because it's just classic. It's really good. Acting's great. It's just so like catty and like fun. And yeah, I really liked it. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I see why it's so popular. I get the lore behind it now. And yeah, I would recommend. So yeah, if you were like me and over the years you have somehow managed to never see this movie, I would definitely recommend watching The Craft. All right, y'all, down to the last 2 films that I watched. These are probably my top 2 films for the entire month. I think. Second to last movie that I watched, I rated this a 9.5. It's up there in my top 5. It's called Don't Listen, but it's a Spanish horror film, so it could also be listed as Voces. That's like the Spanish title for it. So it's on Netflix, I'm pretty sure, so you should be able to find it either way, whatever you search. This movie's freaking insane. I literally started watching it at night while I was like in my room folding laundry, and I had my headphones in, and I was getting so freaked out from like the sound design and the audio. That's like a large part of the film, by the way. So I was getting so freaked out by that, and it was just like nighttime and it freaked me out. So I had to turn it off and watch it like the next morning in broad daylight. But this was really good. Very, very satisfying. Yeah, this is like one of my favorites of the whole month that I've watched. Like I said, I don't want to be giving stuff away because this I actually do highly, highly recommend you go watch. And I would also watch it like in Spanish. Just put like captions or something if you need to have translation, because it does not hit the same. Like most foreign films that are in a language other than English, the overdub in English is like really, really bad. I think my Netflix just had it like defaulted to that, and I had to just turn it off and switch it to the Spanish audio because it was really bad. I understand enough Spanish that like I can kind of, get by without having to like read captions. Just kind of like depends on what they're talking about. But yeah, like I said, this was really hard to watch at night. So if you're really trying to get like actually spooked and like cozy up at night and like watch something creepy, then do it. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. If not, then like watch this during the day. I'll be so honest, it really freaked me out. Just the sound design was really good. I think that's like a part of what really pulls me into like horror movies, is if the sound is really like insane. One of the reasons why I like Insidious so much, like not even just the storyline or whatever the jump scares, but like the sound design is just like, ooh, it just creeps me out. So it's similar to Insidious in that way. The sound design is just really well done. Okay, on to my last film review for the month. I do actually think this is my favorite movie for the entire month. It's called Bring Her Back. This movie is really sick and twisted. It's A24. I want to like gab about this, but I really don't want to give anything away because it's so freaking good. There's a little bit of, some gory scenes that are like, oh God, I'm literally like have flashbacks and PTSD right now from some really gnarly scenes. For those of you that have seen this movie, there's like the knife scene. Oh God. I wish I could unsee that. I actually physically had to like look away during that scene. It was really like, I literally have the chills right now thinking about it. Just like grosses me out. Yeah, this storyline was really, really, really good. Conceptually, it really just like lured me in. Yeah, I cannot say enough good about this film. It kind of has a little bit of commentary on the foster care system, I feel like. And then going into it, one of the characters that is like the creepiest, like right off the bat, I thought it was like one thing, is all I'm gonna say, and it was not the thing that I expected, and it was really, really, really good. But yeah, this film to me is really, really messed up. I gave it a 10 out of 10. I just loved the act. I really liked the acting, and it just creeped me out. There were some moments that were really hard to watch. I think of all the films that I've watched this month, like this and Suspiria were the two that like I keep thinking back on and I keep kind of thinking about, and they're still on my mind. And those are probably the top 2 that I would like recommend. I don't know if they're necessarily tied. I think maybe I actually would give Suspiria a higher rating. So overall, my top 6/7 films for the month of October in order, we have Suspiria at number 1, Bring Her Back at number 2, The Village at number 3, number 4, Don't Listen, number 5, Saint Maud, number 6, There's Something Wrong with the Children, and then number 7, like The Cursed and Stepford Wives, like tied, I guess, for number 7 or 8. So those are the films that I would like 100% recommend watching. I think you'll really, really enjoy them. Okay, on to the last like segment of the pod today. I listened to the newest Mac DeMarco album, Guitar. Really, really good. One of those albums that's just like a really easy listen. I was really vibing to it literally all week, and it's giving Beatles like in the best way possible. I know that like overall, I'm a super huge Beatles fan. For some reason, like the Beatles, like people either like love and are obsessed with and super inspired by the Beatles, or people are like full on like Beatles haters. I'm a huge fan of the Beatles, so to me that's like a massive compliment, like comparing it to, I don't know, like the White Album, like I'm So Tired, Julia, it's like kind of giving the same vibes, and I love that album. It's like one of my favorite Beatles albums, so to me that's like a huge compliment. I would recommend listening to this album. I'm kind of just saving the entire album. I was like gonna like try to listen through each song and like analyze the lyrics and like really pick the ones I resonated with. But honestly, like every song I'm like vibing with, I'm chilling with. So I'm just adding the entire album to my calm down playlist. I would highly recommend it. And that is it for today's pod, y'all. It is time for me to wrap things up and head into work. I hope that y'all have the most amazing Halloween. Have fun and be safe. It's on a Friday, y'all, so we get lit. So have so much fun on Halloween. Enjoy your weekend. And I hope that you have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next week. Bye.